What's up? Day 3. Woohoo! How's it going, guys? How's everybody doing? Um, I am super freaking excited to be here once again for day 3. I've had so much fun over the last couple days. I've loved seeing the homework that you guys are coming up with. Love seeing the engagement and the responses that you're giving to others because you guys are coming up with just some amazing, amazing stuff. You're coming up with great words. You're coming up with great questions. So super excited for that. And then we're going to give a few minutes for people to get on. Once you hop on the live, say hello. Let me know you're here. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay it out. Just hashtag replay. You don't have to say replay it out. Although you can if you want to. Yeah. So I'll just wait for people to jump on. Again, say hello. Let me know you are here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Wednesday. The weather is actually really beautiful here. It's real nice. Hello, Katrina. Super excited to see you. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just going over making sure I got my notes up as we wait for people to jump on. Say hello in the comments. Let me know that you are here. If you have not done your homework for day 1 and day 2, boo. Okay, super boo. But you can still redeem yourself and do it. Yep. And then we'll have one more day of homework today, obviously. And I'm really excited to. I've been super fortunate and feel super blessed that I've gotten just some great feedback so far on what this is doing for you guys in your mindsets, your perspectives, your strategies, your ideas, your creation and creativity. So, really excited to see how this continues to help you and push you forward, going forward. I will give about another 2 minutes for people to jump on. Again, don't forget to say hello in the comments so I know you are here. Let's see, make sure I have all my stuff in line. Once again, there are no animals in here today because that is clearly a distraction. At least when I do stuff like this. When I do like normal lives, that's just me, y'all. Sorry, not sorry. Y'all, Thanksgiving is tomorrow. What? How is Thanksgiving tomorrow? I'm so confused. Okay, well, it looks like we got less than 60 seconds. All right, let's get to rolling. Okay, so on Monday, we talked about authenticity and your brand voice. And yesterday, we talked about client attraction and really attracting those ideal Holy Grail clients. Today, we are talking about messaging, right? Because this whole thing's been about magnetic messaging, how to attract your clients using with using being authentic. Yeah, so the messaging piece, right? That's what we get to cover today. Hi, Tracy. Oh, yay. So excited you're here, friend. And yeah, guys, if you didn't do day 1 and day 2, don't feel like you can't jump in and still get a ton of great stuff today. We do build just a little bit, but there's still some great stuff for you here. So you can go back and catch day 1 and day 2 at your leisure. But yeah, there's still going to be some great stuff here for you today. So what I want to do, I want to start with another story. Yeah, love stories. And actually the story that I'm going to start with is, it's my story. I actually don't, it's not that I don't talk about my story. I probably don't talk about it enough. And Tracy, they'll be up for a while, so don't worry about it. I'll take them down probably, I don't know, but that won't be up for forever, but I really hadn't decided yet. But they'll at least be up for the rest of the week and the weekend. So yeah. I probably don't talk about my story enough. And it's so funny because whenever people say, well, tell me your story, I'm like, do you have 10 minutes? And that's only because, and I'm going to make it as succinct as I possibly can for you here today. And I know some of you on here, you've already heard my story, and that's because, and this is actually also why I love my story. My story is full of plot twist, right? And it really it doesn't do my story any justice to not start at the beginning, okay? So here is my story and how I started from not even close to here and how I'm here now. When I was little, I always wanted to. I've been obsessed with animals my whole life, and I wanted to work with animals. When I was 4, that was the first time I conjured up what I know now to be was like what a 4-year-old could comprehend as an animal sanctuary. Like I had this big piece of land, and everybody was gonna live on it. And hey, Lisa, we were gonna have all these animals, and I just called it the farm, right? But it was an animal sanctuary. So I grew up mostly thinking I was going to be a veterinarian. There was something about that didn't appeal as much when I was in high school. I still wanted to work with animals. I graduated in 99, so back then, if you were in high school and getting career advice and you wanted to work with animals, you could be a veterinarian or a marine biologist. That's it. I also really wanted to go to Texas A&M, and I didn't want to go to Texas A&M Galveston. I wanted to go to like real Texas A&M. And so I made kind of a split last minute decision, and I decided that because I didn't know what I wanted to do, I didn't want to be a vet, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, that I would go into the Lowry Mays Business School. It was a very highly ranked business school. It still is, but definitely was at the time. And I was like, well, I mean, because business degree, at least that's a great like general degree to have, right? So I have a BBA in marketing. Well, when I got ready to graduate with that, I still had no idea what I was going to do. There wasn't like a course specifically on here are your marketing jobs, or really, you know what I mean? Or if there was, I missed it, or I slept through it, and that's probably true. If there was any kind of a fair or whatever, there probably was, and I missed it because I also worked, oh my gosh, my sophomore, junior year, I worked like 2 jobs. My junior, senior year, I worked 4. Yeah. So, I mean, that was just it. Anyway, people are like, hey, what are you going to do? Marketing. Awesome. What kind of marketing? I was like, what do you mean? They're like, what do you want to be? Marketer? Is that not the thing? So I really just didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea what jobs to go on. So I started working for a company that I'd worked for summers and breaks and holidays, really since my senior year. As Kimberly-Clark Corporation. Their world headquarters were in the Dallas area. I worked in corporate security. It's not as cool as it sounds. I basically was helping with the background investigation. So like calling and verifying, did you really graduate from this place? Did you really work at this place? Things like that. And as I was dying, I had great people that worked there, great boss. But as I was dying a very slow death, sitting at my desk all day, every day, and having no idea what to do next, I realized that I was really missing my studio kids. So while I was at A&M, I danced in high school, I danced in college, and the way that I paid for myself to be able to dance and be on a collegiate company and all this was I worked at the studio because I had to pay for my own college. So I certainly didn't have extra money to be paying for training or anything. And I was really missing my studio kids, which that was kind of the really big plot twist number 1. And the reason that was so huge, y'all, I don't like kids. I don't. I never babysat a day in my life. When people ask me if I want to hold their babies, no, I do not. Please don't ask me that question ever. If I want to hold your baby, I will ask you. Right? I don't know what to do with it. What if I break it? Like I don't know. But I was missing my studio kids, and they were younger, not babies. I never did the littles, but I did like 7 and up, and especially the 8 and up age. I was really missing. So I got this wild hair and thought, I'm in Texas, and if you're not in Texas, we have a thing here called dance and drill teams. It's a dance team, but it essentially, those are the people that perform halftime of the football games, right? That's the drill team part of it. And so I was like, you know what? I could be a dance and drill team director. I've been teaching dance for 5 years. I could keep doing that because we have dance classes in high school. So I started looking, and lo and behold, my alma mater was opening up for a director spot. So the high school that I went to, the drill team that I was on, needed a dance and drill team director for the following year. Y'all remember my degrees then, right? I ain't got no kind of education, certifications, classes, nothing. Fuck it, why not? So, and this, by the way, this part of the story highlights it really does matter who you know, and that you should treat everyone like they're amazing and they're kind, like treat everyone with kindness because you never know when it's going to come up. The only reason I applied, right? The reason I got my interview, I got myself the job, but I got the interview because the secretary for the principal worked at my school when I went to school. She remembered me, and she also knew my mom, right? And so she was like, look, you just need to see this girl. So that got my foot in the door. I walked into a 9-person panel interview. What the fuck? But they loved me. And I got a call an hour or two after my interview from the principal saying, we loved you. It's unanimous. And as long as you can get into an alternate certification program, the job is yours. So plot twist number 1, I'm about to be a teacher. So I do get into an alternate certification program. I ended up being at my school for 13 years. So for 13 years, I was a dance and drill team director. I also have my master's in education that I got in 2012 along with my principal certification because this was my path, right? This is where I was meant to be, and I was going to retire in education. And I knew I wouldn't be in the classroom forever. I do, local admin, central admin, maybe even get it to the state at some point where I could really affect change. I'm a third of a dissertation away from a doctorate, also in education. Loved my kids, loved my team, loved so many parts about my job. Finally decided that I was definitely done being in the classroom at the end of the 17-18 school year, where I'd also been an admin intern. So whenever one of our subs were absent, our admins were absent, I filled in as a sub. So going back to the classroom was going to be really hard after that. So I started applying. My principal's backing me. She is endorsing me. She is calling other people, putting my name out there, and I'm going on all kinds of interviews, and y'all, crickets. I don't get a single job. I don't get a call back. I don't get a second interview. And no one can say why. It's just we just went a different way. And so as I'm kind of stressing about this whole thing, because I again love my kids, right? But I really don't want to go back in the classroom. I was done doing that thing. And my husband stops me in the hall one day. Either I hadn't gotten a call or I hadn't gotten a job or something like that, just in that moment. And he was like, I'm sorry, but every time you don't get an interview or you don't get the job, I'm happy. And I was dumbfounded. Like, who says that? And I was like, why would you say that? And he said, because you're miserable. I had no idea that I was miserable because I loved my kids, because I loved my team, because I loved the idea of what I did. But he is right. I was miserable. And know that it's for teachers, it's never the kids. Never. It's the parents and the bureaucracy and the bullshit. So he was like, I think it's time for you to start your own business. Right? I knew that I always wanted to be my own boss. I had no idea what the fuck I was going to do starting my own business. Like, I'm not going to start a studio or anything what am I going to do? He was like, I think it's time. So we spent 4 months talking about it, thinking about it, praying about it, choosing periods of fasting over it, and just really, because that was a huge thing. And I had one more interview left, and if I didn't get the job, I was going to quit, and if I did, I was going to stay. I didn't get it. And so I took the most massive leap of faith that I've ever taken in my whole entire life, still to this point. And I resigned from education the following day. Right? So I walked away from guaranteed minimum $65,000 a year, insurance, great retirement plan, into the complete and utter unknown. I'm a self-taught graphic designer, so that's what I focused my initial business on. Primarily things like custom stationery. I did do logos before I was really when it was just a logo and I wasn't really up and up on all the branding stuff. Then I was fortunate to get a paid apprenticeship with a creative agency in Dallas. Just a phenomenal organization with an incredible owner who is still a friend of mine and a mentor to this day. And that's when I really got to dive into, really get into upping my graphic design skills, but also getting into brand strategy and website design. And that really ignited those passions. So that was the bulk of the focus of my business, was as an expert brand strategist and creative designer. Loved that work too. Definitely can confidently say that strategy and brand strategy in particular is a zone of genius for me. And graphic design and creative design is a zone of excellence. I'm really, really, really good at it, but it doesn't always light me up inside. I got to, and I promise my story's almost over, but I got a random opportunity, which I don't believe was random at all, based on a post that was made in a group that's for designers. And I saw some people that are not new designers, but were new in business asking some questions. Because when we start a business, no one gives us a handbook and says start here, end here. And they were getting some pretty bad advice, actually. And so I kind of chimed in and I was like, hey, here are my thoughts. If you have questions, I'm happy to jump on a call with you and talk this through. Because I know that I had help when I started. And so what that turned into, other people were like, can I hop on that call too? So that turned into a group of about 4 to 6 designers that were just brand new in their business. They'd worked for someone else and us meeting every week. That was my first actual real beta mastermind, right? And just going through their questions and what's working and what's not and how I can help them. And I love that so much that it reminded me that the piece that was missing in my business was that teaching and coaching aspect, because that is my true superpower. That is my true God-given zone of genius. And so I was trying to find ways to work more of that into my strategy and design business. I was having a hard time getting my next one-on-one design client. And my coach finally asked me, she was like, do you want a design client? I was like, not really. Like, I still do design work. I have one-on-one clients, but I'm very selective. And it's the people that I 1,000% like, they're the cream of the crop for me. And so in August, I gave myself permission to fully pivot into the coaching sphere. And that's my story. Like, that's how I'm here now. So all these plot twists, all these turns. And here's why I tell you that story. 1, just so you get to know a little bit more about me, right? But 2, right? Storytelling is the key when it comes to your brand and your messaging. Your content tells your story. And that's what helps connect and relate you to other people, right? Because like, I know Katrina commented while I was telling, she's like, that's how I know, it's not or that's how I hope I know it's not my path. No interviews and turned down, right? So I know that there are people in here that have already heard it. I know there are some that heard it for the first time, but I also know that in telling that story, every time I tell it, I connect with at least one new person that resonates with. They're like, holy crap, yes, I felt that too. And that's so crucial because people don't buy from brands or businesses. They buy from people. They buy from other human beings that they know, like, and trust. And one of the best ways to increase that know, like, and trust factor is to be a real human. Tell your story. And here's something else that I want you to remember before we jump straight on in. And you can write this down if you want. Your content tells your story, whether you want it to or not. Whether you're aware of it or not, your content is telling your story. So you have 2 options. You can just let the story be whatever it is, or you can actually narrate it for them and utilize your content to tell the story that you want to tell, right? How do we do that? Dope. Let's dive in. All right. So first thing, let's start with that positioning statement or that value proposition, that I help statement, right? Because not only does it really get you clear on who you help, but it's really about what you do, right? And Lisa said, I didn't find my passion until much later in life. Lisa, I think that is so freaking true. And as a little side geeky moment note, the fact that we ask our 17 and 18-year-old high school seniors to know what they want to do with the rest of their lives is bonkers bononos, because we have found that the adult brain, or not the adult, but the brain in general, doesn't really, it's always learning, but it doesn't really stop all that development and formation until we're usually around 25. So we're not even fully done, right? That's like asking someone who's 6 how tall they want to be. They're not even done growing. We don't know how tall they're going to be. And our passions do change. And then there's also a lot of, information that also tells us that it's really not until we hit 35 that we become a lot more rooted in our self-identity. So Lisa, I think you're not the only one. I think that's totally normal. So again, we start with your value and your positioning statement, right? Either or, it doesn't matter, those are interchangeable. But the idea is that that talks about what you do, right? So it in that statement, because it's I help blank to do blank, either so that blank, or it's who you help, what you do, and what that ultimately results in for them. And that's the value proposition, right? Because that statement is talking about not only what you do, but also the functional or physical and the emotional benefits. That's the value, right? So, how does it solve the problem? Why should they pick you? That's what we want to make sure is packed into that super simple statement, right? So, once you've got that statement, and by the way, if you're still stuck on that or you want to revamp it, work backward, right? So, what are the benefits that people get when they work with you or when they buy from you, invest with you? What are the functional / physical benefits? What are the emotional benefits? Because that's the tail end of your statement, right? So that this, like mine is, so that you can make more money in your business being raw, real, and unapologetically you. So it's making more money and being yourself. That's the benefit, right? The functional makes more money. The emotional, you get to be your damn self and see how successful you are as yourself. Yeah. So once you have that, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you are going to want to think about, write down, understand what your brand, like what your core pillars are. And that's more of the how you do what you do. I recommend between 3 and 5, right? Definitely no less than 3. More than 5 and you're just going to be, it's too much, right? It's just too much. You want to zero in. These are 3 to 5 major, it's either a benefit, a selling point, a theme, something to that effect that makes your brand unique. It's a selling point for you, right? So for me, as a brand and business strategist or strategy coach, which I'm also a strategist too, my 5 pillars are mindset, brand and business strategy, systems and processes, alignment, and authenticity, and then clarity. Sorry, I went out of order, so I threw my whole thing off. Those are my 5. So that's what I talk about in my content. Almost every piece of my content directly points back to one of those 5. Yeah? And then you also want to make sure, so once you have your pillars, you want some talking points for each of those pillars, right? So for example, when I talk about mindset, right? Some of those key talking points I talk about all the time. Your subconscious is goal-oriented. It'll never make you a liar. It doesn't process negatives. I talk about that scientific part of the mindset work with the woo, right? When I talk about systems and processes, one of my key points is one size fits all is a lie. You don't have to do it this way to get this result. Yeah. And the other beautiful part about that is when you start getting and brainstorming those talking points, you're going to start to identify your own unique catchphrases, things that you say all the time. One size fits all is a lie. I say that all the time. I didn't make it up. I didn't invent that phrase, but I say it all the time. Yeah? Your subconscious will never make you a liar. I say it all the time. And the reason that that's important is because you really want to lean into those. Because those are the things that are going to consistently show up in your content. And people, remember this, people have to hear something a million times before they actually process it, right? But it reinforces that consistency and that cohesiveness in your brand messaging. Be like, oh yeah, she said that before. I remember that. I'm going to stop real quick. Katrina said the pillars is where I get hung up. I have mindset, intuition, toxic relationship survivor, so far, maybe. So, Katrina, what I would say is take a look at that and go, okay, we know what you do. How do you do it? So I know you do Akashic work, right? That probably is one of your pillars. I think it's Reiki. I think it's how you say it. I know you do that work. That's a pillar. And the beautiful part, I'm going to take a real time out here, is about those two. We hear that a lot. Most people don't really know what that's about. So you have this beautiful opportunity to not only talk about what you do and how it helps your people, but what the fuck is it? right? People love that. They love the behind the scenes. And let's talk, educate the crap out of your people, right? Talk to them not just about the results you get, but what you do and why it works. So that's what I would encourage you to do, Katrina, is again, take a look at how you do what you do. Mindset's definitely going to be one of them, right? 100%. But again, I think that your methods, that those are going to be pillars too, right? So start there and see how that fits. Try that on and see how it fits, right? All right, so you've got your statement, you've got your brand pillars, and you've got your talking points for each of those pillars, right? That's kind of our foundation. And so let's see. Rebecca said, how do we incorporate the what is into our brand and pillars? Rebecca, can you elaborate on that just a little bit so I'm really super clear on the question that you're asking so I can answer it? And yeah, Katrina, I'm glad that helped. Awesome. I'm going to wait for Rebecca to pop her question or pop the kind of to be continued part of her question in here before I really dive into the next piece. But what I will tell you is that once you have that statement and those pillars, right? That's how you make sure that every single piece of your content, and your content are your posts, your lives, your webinars, your workshops, your freebies, your website, that's all your content, right? And then make sure that it's telling and supporting your brand story. The talking points I'm getting to. Oh, I think I understand. Okay, so when I said I think I'm on the right track. If I'm not, feel free to correct me in the comments. When I was telling Katrina, like, telling them what is the Reiki, sorry, and the Akashic and what those things are. So, how we incorporate that into your brand and pillars is because, so perfect example, and you can do this in a million different ways, right? And I don't actually define my pillars for any, like, I don't ever come out and, like, I will when I'm teaching, right? And I'll tell you what my pillars are. I don't ever tell my audience. Not that I can't, but it's rare that I go, my 5 brand pillars. Like, I just don't do that. I talk about those 5 things, though. All of my content stems from those 5 things. And so when I tell people, hey, these are my pillars, if they've been following me, working with me, that they're like, oh yeah, like you totally do talk about that all the time. But that's not something that has to be identified for our audience before they can engage with and learn and find value in our content. But the idea is going, like, when I make a post and if I'm going to talk about systems and processes, right? And I'm going to talk about, like, and actually, I'm sorry, I'm back that up. Even on day 1, right? When I'm talking about authenticity, that's a key pillar for me. So we're going to talk about what that is. Do you know what authenticity is? And that was a post of mine one day. Do you actually know what authenticity means? And I have other posts that dive into, it's about being different and about being standing out. And one of my posts specifically spells out, if you're being like anyone else, that's literally the antithesis of authenticity, right? So I'm making sure that if I'm going to talk about authenticity, and this is a major way that I help you accomplish these goals, you need to know what the fuck it is. And that's not coming from a condescending standpoint. We all hear buzzwords thrown around all the time. And when it gets down to it, if somebody goes, how do you define that? If we can't immediately come up with an answer, then we can't actually define that word, right? So, Rebecca, let me know if that answers your question. And if not, maybe I said enough to kind of help push that and go, well, actually what I'm really asking, but let me know if that answered your question. Okay, you got it. Awesome. Perfect. Cool. Are there any other questions, by the way, you guys want to throw up before I dive into, we're going to actually talk about content in general and some different ways that you can really hone in on that brand message and that voice and really bring all of the things we've talked about together into one, like, beautiful little magical snowball. So see if there's any other questions you guys want to cover. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. No? Okay, cool. All right. So remember, every piece of content that you put out needs to support your brand story, right? Because again, remember how important that is. It's how we connect and how we relate. And that's how you start to build that know, like, and trust factor, and you become a person and not just an entity. Okay. So here are some, and I'm going to go through. So if you got a pen or a pencil, start writing stuff down. You might want to type it. If I say something and you miss it, just ask me to go back and I'll repeat it, because I've got a lot of like action items that you can, like, I've talked about this and it's theory, great. Here's how you can apply it. So, excuse me, I'm so sorry. So here are some types of content, right, that you can include, because you also want to vary up your content. You can do behind the scenes, right? Y'all, people eat that shit up. They eat it up. If you make a physical product and you are not going live, doing little quick snippet videos, doing a boomerang of you making said product, you are, well, I'm going to say it a different way. You have an amazing opportunity to capitalize on that. Okay? People will watch behind the scenes videos all day long. That behind the scenes video could also be, or behind the scenes post could also be your office. I did once and it was like, here are the essentials on my desk that always have to be present. It's just giving people a glimpse behind the curtain, right? How you do what you do and what it's like for you. I had a conversation with Rachel yesterday, and we were talking a lot about, you know, just some of us have those initial concerns or fears about posting a photo that's not perfect or posting a video, and like this right, I'm sorry, it's always backwards. This right here, like the pillow is kind of sided up like that. It's kind of driving me crazy. And like all this crap right here, it's kind of driving me crazy. But so, like, how many of you logged onto this video and you went, she's got a couple of some clutter, we're gonna log off? People don't care. They don't care, right? Now, if I'm positioning myself as like a feng shui Marie Kondo expert, it's a little bit different. But if you find you're like, well, I don't really want to post this because my desk is a mess, post it anyway. It lets people know you're human. Their desk is a mess too. We really don't want to work with someone who always has it all together all the time. And the reason we don't, even if it's on a subconscious level, is because we think they're not going to get where we're coming from, because we don't have it all together all the time. I for damn sure don't. Right? And I let y'all know that on a regular basis. And you can also too, you can make fun of it, right? If you're about the mess, you know, I could have easily, like, let's say I was going to take a picture right now, right? And I circle this right here and I'm like, please excuse my clutter. Like, to make light of it. Yeah. But yeah, so post behind the scenes. You can also post, again, if you make something, like the behind the scenes can be everything from, hey, check out my coworker, which is your dog or your kid, or hey, check out my llama that hangs out with me every day. There's a lot of them around here. There's another one down there. Or, you know, this is my desk. This is my workspace. This is all of that. You can also do like specific things about your process, tools of your trade, ingredients if you make something. All of those things that go into what you're actually creating. Yeah. Another type of post you can do is you can talk about your partners, collaborators, vendors. So if you have those, if you don't, no worries. But if you have someone that you contract out to, right? Like maybe your clients, like for example, I did do some copywriting, but if I build another website for a client and they want the copywriting done, I'm going to bring someone in for that, right? It's someone that is insanely vetted and I know the quality of their work. So if you have any of that, if you have people that have collaborated with you, if there's someone else in your business, right? Highlight those people, give them shout outs. Yeah, and I love the way that Katrina said I have to log out of my life then, talking about the perfect stuff. And Lisa said I had to get over how I look. The mission takes precedence. And I love looking at it like that. You get to remember, we're always our hardest critics. Always. Like, if I watch the video, I'm like, ooh, this hair right here. How many of y'all really paid attention to that until I pointed it out? You know? What's important is that you show up. That you show up authentically and consistently from your people. Sorry, I'm adjusting. Sorry, back's a little sore today. Another type of post you can do, right? You can do like a throwback, a TBT, right? To the first X that you created. shout out to your first client. This was my first, I'm going to use Rachel again. This is my first bar of soap that I ever did. My first logo that I ever created. You can do those throwback posts. And you can also choose to do this in the same post or in a different post, but how you've evolved and changed through the years. Because that's part of your story too. And you definitely highlight that. Don't be ashamed or don't be embarrassed to start to talk about your meager beginnings or humble beginnings or holy cow, I designed some logos in the beginning that I thought were bomb, and I look at them now and I'm like, oh sweet Lord. But that's all of us, right? So don't be afraid to share that stuff. You can also post things like the data and the science that back up whatever X is, right? So I do talk a lot about the science behind mindset work. And I've posted statistics before, particularly when I was really focusing on that brand strategy work. So people understand, what's the percentage of consumers that will follow or unfollow a brand based on X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So posting the data or the science to back up whatever you've got, whether it's percentages, research results, things like that. People love that too. And then you can also too, if you have something that, you want your audience to get involved in, do a contest to help choose your next blank. Like if you were to make ice cream, contest to choose my next flavor that I'm going to make. Or, to choose the next scent of soap I'm going to do. To choose the next training I'm going to give. Right? Yes, Katrina, science behind, yes, hop on that hardcore. Because remember, people don't necessarily know what it is. And so if we can't explain it to them, they usually blow it off and they're like, whatever. Okay. So that's kind of some ideas for content, right? Something else I want you to think about is you do need to think, and this is going to sound really overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. You want your content to be a variety of content because you need to be thinking about having content for each stage that your person is at. So this is a major crash course. When we have a brand business, right, our clients, our customers, they go through a journey, right? And that journey starts from when they don't know who you are to finding you, engaging with you, purchasing from you, the delivery, and then afterward, right? They go through this whole process. And so we want to have content that's going to address someone or that's going to address each of those stages, right? So again, I have content that straight up teaches. I have content that encourages. I have content that empowers. I have content that just flat out, says it's tough love. If you're doing this, you need to stop. I have content that tells you that you need me in your life and why. I have content that simply does nothing else except to bring a smile to your face, like my Monday Pun Days. That's the entire purpose of that. That stuff is never, it's that my Monday Pun Day posts are never around what I do, what I sell, none of that, none of my programs. It's just for funsies, right? But each of those pieces of content are going to engage with one of my ideal clients at a different stage in their journey. And so that's the other real importance of having that variety so that you can reach and connect with each of those people, right? Because if every single piece of your content is you need to get on a call with me, that's only going to reach the people that have already found you and started to engage with you and know, like, and trust you. So everyone that's before that stage, they're going to miss, right? And so, and this is my next point, and you'll see this as you've heard this before, but my next point is mix it up, right? It's going back to that variety. Mixing it up too, think about the intention of your post. What is the intention? One of the best ways that you can really kind of mix things up and keep things lively, be radically transparent with your people. When I talk about behind the scenes and the reason people eat that up, we all want to know how the sausage is made. Yeah? We all also want to know if you're someone that really stands for diversity. Showing people how you're being proactive with that and not just talking about it, that's huge, right? Showing people that I really believe in this thing and these are the steps that I'm taking. to create as much of that as humanly possible. Be radically transparent with your people. Will you potentially lose some people? Yes, and you always need to be prepared for that. The more authentic you are, the more you're going to polarize people. But here's the thing, guys, you're supposed to polarize people. You want to weed out the ones that aren't for you. And the ones that are for you are never going to complain about you being transparent, right? You also want to make sure that you're showing your people in your content that you understand their specific problems. And I mean like you get it on a spiritual level because you've lived it. It's crucial that they know and see that. Because if somebody hasn't gone through what we're going through, we're probably not going to trust them to deliver a solution. Right? And I think something to think of is that I've talked about with you that it's not about you, it's about them. And that is true. But understand this as well. That doesn't mean that you don't ever talk about you, show your face, talk about what you've experienced, right? You just frame that, you use the word you frame that in for them. So again, I'm going to use Rachel's example because she just keeps popping into my mind, right? Because she makes soaps that for people that have skin that are prone to be problematic or different specific issues. And so she's absolutely, one of the best posts she's ever shared is a post of her skin before and then after she'd been using her own products for a while. That's not making it about her. That's still making it about them because it's like, if you are experiencing this, this, and this, or I know that you're feeling this, I understand it because I've lived it. Check it out, right? That's how we really make sure people, like, they're like, oh, she really does get it, yeah? And then you can also, too, ask powerful questions in your content. And powerful does not have to be, like, Nobel Prize worthy. That's not what I mean, right? Powerful can be anything that makes somebody go, huh. Like, you could even ask a question and go, what was the latest adventure you took? Because it's not cliche. You're not going, and there's no reason, there's nothing wrong with asking people frustrations from, like, what you provide. But if you're like, hey, like, one of the posts I made in a Facebook group, I asked whose people's favorite friend character was from Friends. There's a ridiculous amount of comments, right? And I responded to each one, which, by the way, that's freaking key. When you put out content and people comment, you need to respond to every fucking comment that you get. Yep, I said it. Yeah, and respond genuinely, not with the same thing. Talk to that person like they're your best friend. Okay? All right. You can also, too, here's another tip for you. Turn a perceived downside into an upside. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take price for an example. If people think, like, if you are, quote, more expensive, and that's a very relative term, okay? But I'll use my mastermind for an example. I've told you guys, I know the cost of my mastermind is not a drop in the bucket. I know that that's not, I know that's not a small and insignificant amount of money. But here's what I also know. While that may seem like a downside, the upside to that is that going through my mastermind and doing the work, you are going to see such a massive freaking return on that because that is the quality of the content that is going to be coming to you. That is the quality of the teaching, the experiences, the interactions. Like, that's what you're going to get out of that. It's priced that way because it's that valuable. It's actually monetarily a lot more valuable considering what it can do for you in your business. So that may seem like a downside, but it's not, right? It's because of the value and the quality that you're getting. Maybe one of yours is, maybe if you do something and you make something from scratch, let's say it takes longer to get to you, right? Okay, well, yes, you're going to have to wait. It's not going to show up on Amazon Prime, but that's because it's handmade and crafted with such care and expertise and precision that it's going to be exactly what you wanted. So think about those things that some people, and these can be partially objections too, if that's where it comes from. But anything that you think someone might view about what you do as a negative, flip it on its head. Yeah? You can also take something, and the way I phrase this is take something that's normally blah and reposition it into booyah. And I actually have an example that I'm going to read because this is greatness. There is the company Native, and when you place an order, instead of just getting the typical "Hey, we got your order," their email, like, it has the person's name and it says "You rock." And then this is literally the email. It was just another mundane day at our office when suddenly, excuse me, Jackie took a look at the computer, her eyes widened, and she said, "We did it! We got an order from so and so." Laura jumped out of her chair and ran to Jackie's desk. She didn't even read the entire email. She just saw blank and started screaming in delight. "Oh my God, this is real. We have an order from so and so." Like, it keeps going. The entire office erupted in applause. "Party you in the USA" blared from the speakers. Like, you get the point, right? They took something really blah, like a confirmation email from someone who placed an order, and turned it into something super fun. Yeah? So that's something else that you can do. Take the blah stuff and make it yours. Like, if you ever look at any of my stuff, my website is still very much in development, or my new website. But, like, my buttons, it never says submit, click here, buy this. It's always like, let's do this, or are you ready to roll? Like, it's something that's more fun, okay? And then also too, by the way, the last couple things that I will say is always make sure that you're not with every piece, but personalize your content, right? Not just for you, but for the people using your brand, right? So if you can personalize it by, like I saw an ad where Adidas made a commercial and it was an actual race. And the commercial was people, like, at certain checkpoints in the race, like, using their clothing, their shoes. That's a personalization. It's not just a thing that we talk about. You can actually see it. Right? These can also be results posts and testimonials and things like that, coming from real people. And the results, like, either, again, if it's a product, them using your product, and then the results that real people are getting when they are working with you and investing with you. And then keep telling the story. Don't let the story stop when they buy. What happens after you buy? Maybe if it's a product, you just highlight that customer, and so-and-so has been a customer for this amount of years, and look at the difference. For me, I can do that potentially in a throwback post. I can't believe it was X amount of time ago when I started working with so-and-so. Here we are 2 years later. This is what's going on. She's still doing this. They're still accomplishing this. Right? That's personalized because it's not just me selling something. You're actually getting to get in there and go, oh, that's a real person using that thing or product, right? Sorry, my dogs are barking at something. And then the very last little thing that I will give you for your messaging, give them a little something extra, right? Something fun. Something that has nothing to do with your pillars. Do you have a favorite playlist that gets you all jagged up when you're working? Do you have favorite apps that make your life so much freaking better? Right? Do you have a go-to smoothie or shake when you need to perk up an energy? Do you have a favorite oil blend that you diffuse? Another example that I have for you is, like, for example, HelloFresh, right? Like, they do food delivery. One of theirs was, they did a post and it was like 5 easy exercises you can do in your kitchen. That has nothing to do with their food. But the people who buy their food are probably interested in that post. Right? So give them that something extra. Again, it just continues to make you more personal. And that's again, it's that variety in that content. We certainly don't want every single post to be like, "I'm great, buy from me." I would not recommend that. Yeah, you want to do that, but you got to spread that out. Okay. So the last thing that I will cover are some questions that you can ask yourself when it comes to messaging that will really help you continue to dial down that messaging. And just, again, this is about it being magnetic to your people, right? So the first question is, does your messaging match your voice? You can ask people to read your stuff and ask them what they feel. You can also take another group, say, these are my 3 words, check out these pieces of content. Does it match? Right? Look at the tone, the voice, the language. Remember that those are different things. So tone and voice. Brand voice is just brand voice. But the tone, remember we talked about, that can be something where you'll have a slightly different tone if you're on a live versus you're talking to a customer who has a complaint versus, whatever. So that's the first question. Does your messaging match your voice? Second, are you speaking directly to your ideal client's pain points and their challenges? Right? And we talked yesterday about some audience interviews. Are you using their words to talk about it? Are you calling it like it is and saying, I know you struggle with XYZ? Next question, am I painting a picture of what life could be like for them if they work with me, if they invest with me, if they buy from me? That's the results that you can get. But are you painting that picture? Like, can you imagine you were on a beach, you've got, a pina colada in your hand, you've been on vacation for 7 days, and your business is still making money. Things like that. Like, paint that real, visceral picture. And on the flip side, are you also painting a picture of what life might look like if they do nothing to solve their problem? Right? This is how you're feeling, and 6 months later, you're still feeling the same way. You're burnt out. You're no further along than you thought you were going to be. You're not making any more money. Paint those emotional and visceral pictures for them. Because that's what triggers the emotions, right? Next question. Are you providing value? Are you not just, are you educating them? Are you consistently giving your people quick wins? Things that they can take a little read and they can immediately walk away with a mindset shift, a strategy, a tip, a piece of advice, an answer, whatever. Okay? Are you giving clear CTAs or calls to action? So we need to remember this. If we don't tell our people what to do with the content we've just given them, then they will do nothing. Do you want them to engage by asking them a question? Hey, drop an emoji if this is you. Do you want them to go join your Facebook group? Do you want them to go download a freebie? Do you want them to book a call? Those CTAs need to be clear. Do you need a CTA on every single piece of content? That depends on how often you're posting. I post 6 days a week. Every single one does not have a CTA because that's overload. But let's say you're posting 3 days a week. Do they all need to have CTAs? Yeah. Because people aren't seeing enough of you, right? And again, I do plenty of posts that don't have a call to action. It's just, I just want to drop this in here for you. I want to motivate you. I want to encourage you. I want to empower you, or I want to give you this quick win, right? And Lisa, she's constantly educating, but not enough call to action. I would agree with you, my friend. I would agree with you. Are you involving your audience? Is it a one-way conversation or is it a two-way conversation? Are you asking questions? Are you asking powerful questions that elicit responses, right? Are you asking questions, not just like engagement questions, like, hey, which do you like, red or blue, right? Which is a super easy one, and that's a great thing to drive engagement. But are you also getting them involved as far as, you know what, guys, I have a training coming up. Would you rather hear me talk about A, B, or C? Get them involved. Allow them to be part of this with you. And the final question I have for you is, are you making the ask? Are you asking for their investment? Because if you're not, no one can ever tell you yes. Just like the CTAs, you don't need to ask every single post. But if you never ask, if you never say to somebody, you need to get on a call with me. You need this product. I know you need this service. Here's the link to go buy it. Right? You do not have because you do not ask. I'll let that sink in for a second. Because somebody's going to hear that and it's going to ruffle some feathers. And that's okay. But I still think it's true. You do not have because you do not ask. Yeah? So, that is a whole heap of stuff on messaging, right? I am going to leave these videos up for a while because I know there are going to be some people that missed it that want to see it, that need to go back and catch something on a replay, and they were like, whoa, I missed that, right? But do you guys have any questions? Has anything come up for you here? Anything that you're like, excuse me, right? Is there a quick win that I can give you? Is there a problem I can solve for you right freaking now? Because if there is, I would love to do that for you. I would absolutely freaking love it. Yeah. So I will take I'm gonna take another drink of water, see if anybody's got any questions. If they want to ask, don't be shy. Anybody? People might be typing. Maybe not. Well, while I wait one more second for questions, I hope you guys know how much I have just freaking loved doing this 3-day workshop / challenge. I have loved having you guys on here. I am loving just engaging with you and seeing what you're putting out there and how you're encouraging and engaging and collaborating with others. Like, that just makes my heart so happy. And if this, I would love, here's what your homework is for today, right? Your homework for today is I want you to create a new post, and I want you to tell me 2 things. What was your biggest takeaway from, whether you just caught this slide, you caught all 3 of them, you caught 2 of them, whatever it was? What was your biggest takeaway? And what is one thing you're going to start doing today, tomorrow, but like immediately? What's your biggest takeaway? What action are you going to start now? Right? That's what I want your homework to be. Okay? And I would love for you guys to continue commenting on each other's post. Whether it's just a word of encouragement or, oh my gosh, I totally agree with you, or hey, you know what? I'm doing that too. Do you want to help keep each other accountable? Whatever that is, right? So that's your homework. What's your biggest takeaway, and what is one action you're going to do right freaking now? Yeah? So this has been amazing. And I'm going to tell you one more time that if this has been valuable to you, and I know that it has, I want you to imagine for 2 seconds, if this is what we were able to do in 3 days in a free workshop or challenge, can you even imagine what can get accomplished when you're a client, right? When we have dedicated time focused on solving these problems? Can you even begin to imagine what it would be like to be in that mastermind? And here's the deal. If you're not ready to do the work, it's not for you. Just straight up. Okay? Because if you're not ready to do the work, then it would just be a waste of your money. And honestly, a waste of everyone's time. Yours, mine, the other people's. That's just keeping it real. But if you're tired of being stuck, yeah, you know damn good and well that what you have is valuable and it's precious. And you know damn good and well you can change people's lives. And you are tired of not doing those things. And you are tired of not bringing in the money that you know you are worth bringing in. Okay? Well, then my question is, are you going to do something about it or not? Action takers get results. If you don't take action, you don't get results. And action is not going to be Googling for the rest of your life, right? And trying everyone else's things, right? I love to reference clothing, but you're taking someone else's custom suit and thinking it's going to fit for you. And it's not. Pieces of it might fit okay. Like if it's pants, like maybe it's okay in the waist, but not in the butt. Maybe the length is okay, but it's not okay in the crotch area. Whatever. Okay? You can't take someone else's custom tailored thing and just force it to fit for you. Because you're not them and they're not you. You are you. So again, if you're stuck and you're tired of it and you're ready to get the fuck unstuck and you're going to do the work, you need to get in this mastermind. Yeah? Period. There's just no way around it. You need to get in there because it is going to provide epic results and changes and transformations for you. And not only that, but it's also going to provide you the opportunity to be a part of other people's transformation and changes and to contribute to that. And that to me is huge, right? Because when we're able to make it, yes, about us and fix my thing, but to also give to others, that's a game changer right there. And we're all doing what we do because we want to serve others anyway. We want to give them what we have. Yeah. We also learn best by teaching. There are just so many. I literally could do a whole nother hour talking to you about this mastermind. But what I am going to tell you is I'm just flat out going to tell you, you need to get the fuck in this mastermind and get the fuck unstuck. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to make the changes that you want to make and see the changes that you want to see in 2021. Right? So I'm going to pop the link up in here. If you are like, fuck, yes. Right? I'm popping a link for you to schedule a call. Let's hop on a call. Let's talk about what it's going to look like. Let's make sure that, you are a good fit for that. And let's get you going already. What the hell are you waiting for? Right? Mastermind, it's $5K. It is worth, I don't even know how much more than that. It will also never be that price again. After this closes, after this window for that price, after it closes, it will never open up again. You also won't be able to enroll in another mastermind until May. Sorry, think about that. Yeah, you won't be able to enroll in another one until May because I'm only going to do this 3 times a year. Yeah, so hop on your call, get it done. If you have any questions, you know how to find me. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being here, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys on this call and just I'm so freaking pumped. Yeah, this mastermind. I don't want you to miss it. I don't want you to miss it because I know what it's going to do for you. So hope you guys have a fabulous rest of the day. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving tomorrow. Please stay safe. If you're not able to be with your families, know that I feel you 100%. And if you are, then I just hope that everyone has a fabulous time. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And again, I will chat with you soon. All right, later, people.